Hello everyone, welcome to another pre-algebra with Professor V. So today what I wanted to go ahead and look at is we practiced our integers, right? We've practiced exponents. So now we're going to go into what's called the order of operations. And if we break this down, okay, so this might be little bit hairy, right? But it's okay. So order means, how do you go about it, right? The worst thing you can do in mathematics, and I see this all the time on social media. I like the math groups and whatnot, and I always ask people, well, how do you solve this equation expression, right? And people are always just going left to right, top down, right? Well, maybe not top down because you don't do that in math, but we have this tendency, right? If you're um, part of the US or other people that read in this fashion, right? To go left to right, top down. Most people want to do math left to right, and you don't do it that way, you guys. So you got to be careful, right? There's an order to things, and we'll discuss the order. Now, operations is fancy for plus, minus, multiply, divide, right? And of course, exponents, right? So these are the operations, right? These are what we can do in math, no matter how complicated math gets, you pretty much always come back to the four operations. So they are like, if you were to think of math as a language, these are literally like the vowels, A, E, I, O, U. So, anyways, so the easiest way to remember this, some people call it PEMDAS, right? PEMDAS. But there's another way to remember it. I remember it as please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Now these correspond to something, right? The P means parentheses. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally is just a way to remember it, It's the beginning letters. I'm gonna say it's an acronym, but I think that's wrong. Please remind me down below in the comments what it's called. But you use this for the first letters of, to remember something. So x squared and also exponents. So E is for exponents, okay? It could also include the square root, so be careful, right? My is for multiply. Oh, well, let me just stick with symbols for this, right? Times. Dear is for divide. Ant is for addition. And then subtraction is, well, Sally is for subtraction, okay? So this is the order of operations, truly, okay? It goes top down, and whatever you see first, you must do, okay? So let's say we had something, let's just practice this, right? Let's say we had 3 plus 2 times, so I'm going to use the little dots now, 8. So most people, right, we want to go left to right. We want to say that's 5. 5 times 8. Don't do it. It's wrong. Ouch. Okay, you're breaking the order of operations. If we go down, we can say, well, I don't see parentheses. I don't see any exponents. Oh, I do see a multiplication. Right? I gotta do this first. 16. Okay? So 16 happens first. And then you're able to bring down the 3 and the plus. And then that's 17, 18, 19. So that's the correct answer right there, right? But what happens if we did 3 plus 2 times 8, but we bracketed this, right? We put it in parentheses. Well, now that there's a parentheses, what's going to happen, right, is, well, we must do that first. Even though addition happens after multiplication, it doesn't matter, okay? The parentheses is its own world. It just doesn't care what else is outside of it. So you must do what's inside of the parentheses first. So in this instance, we will get 5, right? But then 5 times 8 will be 40. So you got to be super careful. You see how one parentheses can change everything, right? Let me see. Can I think of anything else? Okay, so another tricky thing here, right? So you might think that I'm a liar after this, so it's good that we practice this rule, actually. Because a lot of people actually bomb this, and we can definitely check if it changes the answer. Well, not 2. Let's say 3. Okay. So, right, we would go down the list, and you would say, well, multiplies before division, right? So you would say, oh, let's do this first. But I hate to break it to you, there's one more exception. So just like English, there are exceptions to math. When it's multiplication and division, only multiplication and division, you have to go left to right. So that's a rule, okay? That's a rule. You must go left to right. You must do 18 divided by 9 first, which is what, 2? And then you must times it by 3, so 6. Okay. Now, does it change anything around if we do the multiplication first? Well, we would get 9 times 3, which is what, 27. 18 divided by 27 is actually a fraction, right? So it gets a little bit hairier. Well, now what we could do, right? 18 times, well, let me stick with the dot, times 9 divided by 3. So even this, we would go left to right. I know, even though multiplication's at the top, it really doesn't matter, right? If you acknowledge there's only multiplication, there's only division, I must go left to right, okay? So 18 times 9 would be what? Dear Lord, I picked a tricky one, didn't I? Well, let me actually work over here to the left. 18 times 9. So that's going to be what? 72, I believe. And that'll be 9 and then 16, right? Add 7 to that. So what we get here is 162. A good thing this does divide by 3. Good thing I didn't pick some crazy numbers that didn't work. So now we would do the division, right? And that would be 3 fits into that 5 times. That's 15. If I'm going too fast on the division, please do watch the division video I have provided, right? 3 divided by 12 is going to be 4. So our answer for this particular problem ends up becoming 54. Okay. Now, I guess, let me see how much time we have. Oh, okay, we have plenty of time in this video. So, I do want to let you guys know that these are expressions, okay? So this is an expression. So we use please excuse my dear Aunt Sally with expressions. And we do something a little different with equations. Now, when you do have an equation, so I'm going to go ahead and put here equation. One thing you have to realize, right, is 3 plus x equals 2. Right. This is an equation because it does have an equals, okay? But what's on the left side of the equation is an expression, right? And what's on the right side of the equation is an expression. So when they ask you to simplify something, right, they're asking you simplify the equation. They're asking you to do some order of operations here, okay? Let's see if there's anything else. So the addition and subtraction also works in the same way, unfortunately. I'm going to go ahead and just clear the whole screen, you guys, okay? So hopefully by now you have this written down in your notebook somewhere, right? So when we have addition and subtraction, right, those also go left to right. So let me just go ahead and do the beginning letters real quick. So this is parentheses. Maybe I should have just used the eraser, but oh well. This is good old multiply. This is good old divide. This is good old addition, and this is good old subtraction. So we know these go left to right, right? And these will also go left to right. Only when there's addition and subtraction will you go left to right, okay? We'll have time to practice more variations, but these are the two exceptions to the rule. When it's multiply and divide, go left to right. When it's addition and subtraction, go left to right. So if we had something like 7 minus 2 plus 3, right? Addition's technically on the top, so you would say, I should add first, but don't. Please don't. You must go left to right, so that becomes 5. 5 plus 3 is 8, okay? Because if you do it the other way, you're going to get 5, 7 minus 5, 2, right? You'll get the wrong answer, trust me. According to all the books and everything that you're going to be practicing, just not the way to go about it. So now let's try something a little bit spicier. So let's say we had, give me a minute to come up with something. Okay, let's say we had 9 divided by 3 plus 4, and then that was in a parentheses, and let's say maybe 3 minus 1. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on with this one, right? This one's tricky. What we do have is a division, right? I hope you guys can see the division. We do have a plus 4. But the tricky one here, right, is it's 4 times this parentheses, okay? So when we're working with multiplying, right, we got to remember that if it's 4 parentheses 3, it means to multiply, right? It doesn't mean 43, right? If it was 43, we'd just write 43. So anytime you see a parentheses like that, it does mean multiply. And there are times where we have to do something called distribution, but we'll get into that later, okay? So for now, we're just going to go order of operations. Okay, I see a parentheses, so I must do that first. I bypass everything else, and I get this 2 here. Now I can bring down the 4, and I put the parentheses here as my style, okay? This is my style. I like 4 parentheses too. If you don't prefer that, it's okay. But you must know that this is times, okay? You must know that. If you want to write it as a times, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? So now I handle my division and my multiplication, right? So 9 divided by 3 is 3. I could simultaneously do the times too here, but we'll take it slow. I'll just drop everything down. But do know you could do 3 plus 8 right away, because if you could see that we're just skipping that step, right, getting a little bit quicker, that's great. If not, write everything down, bring it down. Realize, okay, now I got an addition and a multiplication, so I got to multiply first. And then 8, 9, 10, 11. So the answer for this one would be 11, okay? So, tricky stuff, right? Tricky stuff. And I think with expressions, you will only get better at this by, doing a bunch of them. Let's see if we have time for one more complicated one. Okay, I think we do. So I'm going to go ahead and borrow this one out of the Pre-Algebra OpenStax book. I'm looking for one that's maybe not too crazy. Okay, I like this one. I don't know if I'll have room for that though, so let me go ahead and, I don't know, did I click the wrong one? Okay, I'm just gonna undo this real quick, sorry. Might be quicker than just erasing it. Okay, so what do we have? based off of the OpenStack book, right? It says simplify, so we're going to simplify this expression. So do you know parentheses can also come in square brackets, and this is going to be the most advanced one, I think, that we kind of, well, maybe not most advanced, but you know, it will take some thinking, right? So here we don't just have a parentheses, right? We have a parentheses and a parentheses, and you might say, well, why'd you use brackets? Well, you know, technically you could get away with parentheses, it's fine, but beginning, you know, the beginning level of this stuff, it's nice to see it in brackets, because now I see that there's a parentheses here, but I also see there's a parentheses inside of the parentheses, right? So anyway, so I look in the first parentheses, right? I see 4 times some other parentheses, right? All right, well, the fact that I see the parentheses means I have to do that before the times, right? So I must do 5 plus 1, which is 6, right? And then I could keep the square brackets. I drop down the 4. I could write this as times because it's 4 times 6, or I could write it as 4 parentheses 6, right? Then I drop everything else down. So really slowly, all I did was add these numbers, right, and drop everything down. It is 4 times this parentheses, so whatever the result is in the parentheses, right, it's multiplied by 4, sorry. Okay. So now we're going to get rid of the last parentheses, right? We're going to do 4 times 6, so that's what? 6, 12, 24. Now this 2 is touching the bracket, so it technically means 2 times 24. Okay, let me stick with the dot. So you could do that as 2 parentheses 24, etc., etc. 7 squared. So now I finally handled the parentheses in this problem, right? It took a while. But now we're going to see something, right? We're working with an exponent first, so the exponent must happen, so be careful, right? 7 squared is equal to 7 times 7, okay? So it's not 14, you know. These are the instances when I was watching, doing the exponent video, I was telling you, you know, you could do real quick math and then end up doing 14, and you're like, oh man, that was actually 49, because that's 7 to the second power, right? So now I've handled the exponent. I would go to multiplication, right, if I keep working my way down. So that would be 48. And then finally, right, we have the 49 and the minus we didn't use. And that'll be 1. So, you know, expressions are tricky, you guys. You know, be gentle with yourself. Practice, practice, practice. If you guys use that OpenStax book, they give you the answers to the odd problems. You can work until you like really understand these, okay? It just takes a lot of practice, you know. Don't be too hard on yourself, okay? We all learn, you know. At one time I couldn't really do this stuff either, you guys. I was in 7th grade, you know. I can't say that I hated math, but I did hate that I couldn't understand algebra, right? I couldn't understand the order of operations. But anyway, if I can do it, anyone can, okay? So I hope this brought you guys some value. Give me a like if it did. You know, subscribe so you keep seeing the upcoming videos. And comment down below if anything's gray area or you would like to discuss order of operations, right? But other than that, I will see you in the next video, and I hope everyone has a great day.